Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this episode, we're going to rework our capital city of Jackson and Scottsdale to further improve the traffic around there, as we've done similarly in a few other cities across the map. Now, last episode we focused mainly on traffic coming to and from and near San Jose here, and after doing a little bit of work off camera, just simply adjusting some roads and lining intersections and other things, we were able to get our traffic pretty well flowing through the city. You can sort of see the remnants of the traffic we had before slowly trickling in. We no longer have this huge line of traffic here that came out from Downey, and our highway is pretty well cleared up. It's pretty busy, but it's no longer stopped like it was at the end of the last video. And then probably the biggest change we made off camera was implementing a roundabout here in Mesa, and we're still sort of evaluating the effects of that, but mainly it is now allowing people coming into Mesa to very easily flow into the city, and we no longer have a huge backup of cars coming across this bridge. We have also flipped around this bus station so that it doesn't empty onto our main road. It now empties on the other side onto this small little side road where a lot of our buses will come around and then into this roundabout and then out of the city. So we'll keep an eye on this, as it seems almost like traffic coming out of the city now might become an issue, but we'll continue to check in on it, make sure it's working how we want it to, and if we need to do anything more, we will try to fix it. So here in our main city of Jackson and Scottsdale, we have quite a few traffic problems, specifically pertaining to the entrances of each city, and that's going to be what we will focus on mostly in this video. So if we come into our traffic layer and take a look around the city, we can see it's mainly this road that connects us to our highway, and really the only main road coming into Jackson. Same thing on Scottsdale's end. Maybe not quite as bad, but there's still definitely work that needs to be done in order to solve these issues. So I think first we'll start over on the Jackson end. We'll get this all fixed up and situated, and then we'll come over to Scottsdale and fix that if what we do over here doesn't work. So one of our biggest issues I think here is that we funnel two main roads of traffic into one. So specifically for people coming across this way, we funnel them all onto the same road, and no matter where they want to go on this side of the city, they have to interact with this stretch of road at some point. So I think in order to fix that, we're going to turn this bridge and make it come straight across and merge to this large road, and then this road here is actually going to come across and connect to our road that leaves the city and connects to our highway out here. So that will turn this into a pretty large intersection, which may or may not help at all. If it doesn't help, maybe we can do a roundabout or some sort of elevated highway or something else along those lines. But I think doing it that way is better than what we currently have. So before everything breaks, we'll pause so we can then delete some of these roads. So now that we have this little square pretty cleaned up, we can come through with our bridge, and we'll come straight off of the end here. And that's not quite what we want it to give us, so we'll try to come back down to ground level before we'll get to our intersection, and then we'll connect up. So we'll have that. And then I think the best way to go about this road is to bring it straight across, and then we'll sort of turn this road into a continuation of that, and we'll smooth it all out so it's a nice continuous road to the outside of the city. So I think that'll start with removing these two roads, maybe even this one. So we'll bring it straight across to about here, where then we will turn, connect to this road. We'll continue to upgrade that. Alright, so after some pretty extensive remodeling of this portion of the city, we now have a continuous road coming through here, around, up, and out. And I think we will pretty much just continue this on as one of these large country roads all the way out to where it reaches the highway. So that'll just mainly help bring up the top speed so that maybe people are more inclined to come in and out of the city through this way. And so now coming back to this intersection, we're going to replace everything that we've destroyed. So that includes pretty much just a 6-lane highway with tram tracks, which we can easily just throw right back. And then I believe we need to put in the stops for those. And so we should be back to sort of the connection we had before. We will quickly lock all these roads so that the city doesn't try to build on them. And of course it's going to take a while to see if this actually does fix any of our traffic problems, but at least now we have some more clearly defined main roads coming through Jackson. And then there's this whole area of Jackson that needs a lot of work in terms of connectivity and road layouts. Down here along the river is actually pretty good, I'd say. It's a pretty decent grid. But our issue comes when we start working our way up the hill. You can see we sort of get this road, which is just a complete mess, and I think we'll probably just destroy it, or at least most of it. And we'll lay down some roads ourselves, since the city will probably try to do this anyway. So we'll get a road coming across like that, and we'll want to turn back all of our upgrades. But I think what we'll do here is we'll actually lower the land here so that this area can sort of fill itself out, and then we don't sort of have a third level between all these roads. We'll of course smooth it out a little bit so that you don't get all these harsh edges. So I think this will help a little bit more with our connectivity across the city. And we do sort of have our 4-lane road here just sort of end in the middle of nowhere. So what we're going to do is probably redesign a good portion of this area. So we'll just bring this road around to connect there, and then we'll upgrade all of this to be 4 lanes. So it seems like we actually didn't select our 6-lane road. We accidentally selected our asymmetrical road. So we'll just have to come back through here and re-upgrade this. And that seems like it should fix it. And now, so both of these lanes should now allow the cars to go straight across, which hopefully should fix that. Before it was just the right lane, which is why you see all these cars coming through. But now, while we wait for this to sort itself out, and so we can start to see the results of it, I think we maybe want to expand our bus networks. So if we take a look at our lines, it seems like we only have one bus loop on this side of Jackson, which is okay, but I think the city's getting big enough to where we could probably split this into 2 separate loops. So we'll probably have a loop that runs up this side of our main road, and then another loop that runs down this side of our main road. So let's pause real quick, and it almost seems like we have enough bus stops on this side of our main road. So we pretty much cover everything besides maybe a few areas up here, which we can just fill in with some roads, and we should have no issue then. So we'll remove all of these stops. We'll start here at this bus station, and we'll include this stop in our bus route. So it'll come around in a loop that sort of goes like this. One thing I might try to avoid is it turning this way and going up. So I think we'll keep it on this road, which simply just requires us to put a waypoint in. So then after the second stop, we can just tell it to go to the waypoint instead. And so that'll bypass this intersection. And then as for the next loop, which will be in the opposite direction, we'll pretty much do the same thing, just in reverse this time. Now, one thing I did just notice is that we actually don't have any bus stops up here, so I think if we add one right here, this pretty much covers this whole area. So we'll just have to adjust these routes to include that, and then we can move on to our loop on the other side of Jackson. So now, as for the other side of Jackson, we'll try to keep it off of where our tram line runs, just so we don't have a bunch of our own vehicles running on those routes. But we'll get one stop down here, and then I think we'll pretty much follow that road around. So we'll have another one right next to our port area, and then just following that road along the river until pretty much it gets all the way out here, where on the return trip we can pretty much just take this main road back and throw in a few stops every now and then on there. So now that we have those stops set up, we can grab some buses, and I think we'll go with these Volvo buses. Or actually, we'll stick with these Maz 103 buses, as they have a pretty good loading speed. They are a little bit more expensive, but I think that's okay when our main priority is moving passengers around. So we'll get 12 buses since this line does take up a good amount of space. Alright, so now that should cover pretty much all of our bus stops and bus routes in Jackson. So hopefully that will also cut down on some of this private transportation, especially our bus stop up here. Hopefully that'll cut down on a lot of people taking this bridge, but we'll have to wait a little bit until the numbers update and the vehicles update and all of that. And it looks like the city just tried to build a road up here. Let's see if we can try to finish that and help it along. So I don't really know what the city was trying to do with this road. I suppose we can just add a connection like this, which is probably what it would try to do. Although that doesn't look great, we can smooth it out just a little bit, so it's a little bit more natural. But I think that's fine. So next what we're going to do is something I mentioned a while ago, which is getting our trucks off of this main road and away from our trams. So we'll just throw in some waypoints here on this road. And we have one over on this, out this way for our Scottsdale trucks. And so pretty much any route that we see taking this main road, we'll just simply adjust it so that instead of going there, it'll come to one of these waypoints. So now that is almost entirely pathed off of the main road, besides where it turns back on pretty much once it gets into Scottsdale, but it has to do that to get to that truck stop anyway. So that should be fine. And then the next line, of course, is our tool line, which we put a waypoint here already. So really we just have to add another one in as it comes out this way. And it doesn't seem to really want to do that. So we just had to go to this one first and then this one. So that looks like it's going the right way now. We do have this line that returns on our main road, but I think we'll leave that as we took a few other lines off of it. That should free up some space here for those trucks. And then there's another one here, this machines line. So after leaving the port, it'll come over, and I think at least on the way out we'll have to leave it, but coming back it can still come down on this road. And now it should free up some space on this road, and it shouldn't block our trams, and our trams shouldn't block our trucks quite as much anymore. And I think Jackson is starting to flow a little bit better. Of course, we have all of our buses that we just implemented waiting to come through the system and spread out on the line, but that's something that's just going to be sort of a waiting game. And then one last thing I think we will do in Jackson is we'll keep our bus lane on this road. We'll keep that going, I think, pretty much out to here. This seems like a pretty good stopping point for our bus lane specifically, because out here there's really hardly any cars. It looks like we might have messed up real quick on this road, but as I was saying, there's really not much traffic over here, so there's no need to add a bus lane, since the road would just take up more space and wouldn't really be a help. So now our next problem area is Scottsdale, and more specifically, this area here gets super busy with our own buses and our own transportation. So I think we'll try to reroute these buses to some of our side streets, as they wouldn't really impact the ride too much. And then, of course, we have a bunch of private transportation coming in this road that we will have to sort out as well. So starting off with our buses, I think it's definitely a mistake sharing our bus and tram stop with our sort of local route. So if we take a look at this route, it stops here and up here. So I think maybe we could just move the stop to this street here, and that will keep most of those buses off of our main road, and they won't be sharing it with the trams anymore. So we can do that. We'll have to select both of these lines and remove that stop and add back in our new one. And we'll just do the same in the opposite direction. We'll remove this stop and add it back in like so. And now another route that sort of gets in the way is our simple loop between Jackson, Scottsdale, and the train station. I think once we come out of our station in Scottsdale, we can reroute it with a waypoint to take this road up to here, so then we don't have any sort of backup at this tram stop. So we'll just simply add a waypoint here, and so after the first stop, it'll go there, come up, and then as it goes over to Jackson, comes in, and then when it leaves, I think we'll leave it on the main road as it bypasses our trams, but that should help with that. And then of course we'll have to find a bus doing the other line. So this one, I think we'll also want to get it off of the main road. And so we'll bring it up this way as well. So now it's going to take a while for our buses to sort of clean themselves up as they spread out on their new routes, but hopefully we should see a lot less traffic coming through here as a result of that. So now our next issue is all of the private transportation coming into Scottsdale, and I'm hoping the situation is similar as it was in Jackson, just a simple bus network redo and maybe some slight adjusting of streets and where our main roads go. Hopefully that should be the fix for this area, but first we'll have to dive into that. Alright, so now we've pretty much upgraded all of the roads in Scottsdale to sort of the base small city road or medium city road, whatever they are. I think we're going to need to rework this bus station before we add in some new lines. So let's get in here and start with that. So we'll have to delete that. I think we'll end up deleting most of this area. And so it seems like we'll be able to get this station in placed just like so. And hopefully, so we can't upgrade any of these roads, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think maybe we could delete all of these roads and we'll have to replace this. But we should be able to connect this now in a way where we have bus lanes on the end of each end, so this whole station won't be used by private transportation at all. This will all be specifically reserved for our buses. And so now that we have that down, I want to get our roads fixed first before we start doing any new bus lines. So I think first we're going to get rid of that intersection. And we'll lock this road just so the city doesn't try to do it anymore. We'll delete these roads in here, and we'll extend this main road pretty much all the way out until wherever it ends out that way. So that was just a simple 6-lane road. And so we'll bring this out, I guess pretty much until this road sort of makes sense as much as it can. But this should now allow people to sort of make their way into this area of the city much easier. And while we're at it, I think we can even turn this road into a 4-lane road. And so that'll also help provide a nice stop for that intersection. So we'll clean up some of the mess here, and we'll bring this straight out. We'll have no bus lanes for now, but we will extend this all the way down to this road, and then we'll add a quick connection here. And this should also help spread people out across the city before they get too deep on this road. So now the last connection I want to make, I think, is a simple bridge coming across here and connecting there. And we'll want to pick a bridge where it won't really interfere with our train tracks here. Or I suppose we can flatten out a little bit more of an area just so that it makes a little more sense. So now the bridge we put here, if we do concrete, which I think we will, that looks actually kind of nice here. So we'll just have to smooth out the area around it so that you don't see any hard edges. And that works pretty well. And it provides another connection for these people over here so they don't all get funneled onto this road. But now that we've done that, let's redo our bus networks. And we'll do the same thing we did in Jackson. This area will be a loop, and then this area down here will be its own loop. So we'll start off nice and simple, remove all of these stops, and we'll simply start here and work our way around. So this will be our first loop. It pretty much just goes around like so, and I think I'm pretty okay with that. So we'll have to grab the other one, remove all these stops, and do the same thing in the opposite direction. So now that should work out. And so now this last loop will simply come around like so, and I think it will pretty much use all the same stops as our other line, except when it comes to here, we'll switch it to one of the other terminals so it's not being cluttered with everything else. And so now that should be our last line finished. So now we can let this play. All of our areas are now connected by bus, and hopefully we'll see that cut down on our private transportation coming through here. We'll have to let our buses spread out, as I think they're still readjusting from when we first put this stop down. Alright, so while we wait for things to fix itself up in Jackson and Scottsdale, let's move on to some other areas. So really just taking a look around the map, the only area left that we haven't really taken a look at is our entrance into Santa Clarita here. And as we can see, we have a ton of people sort of backed up, and it seems like a lot of them are stuck on this road. I think here might actually make sense to almost have sort of a one-way loop in this area. So this will be one way coming out of the city, and this will be one way coming into the city. And so that should remove the need for almost any traffic lights here, which it seems like it is already just a stop sign. I was hoping we'd be able to get it so that the left lane wouldn't be a left turn only lane, but I guess that's just going to be how it is. So hopefully that'll fix things at the entrance of Santa Clarita. However, sort of the main area of Santa Clarita, we have almost no larger roads or any sort of road hierarchy here. This is all just the two-way roads throughout the whole city. So that's something we definitely need to fix up quick. And so I think this road here we're going to turn into our 4-lane road all the way up through the city. And it looks like it has some issues, so we'll just pause real quick and fix that. And then we'll just keep going. We'll come back and fix these intersections later. But now really what we want to do is we want to get this road and get a nice continuous road connecting over to here where it then leaves the city. So we can have that road come across like so, and then turn that into a 4-lane all the way to the edge of the city. Now we'll come back and fill in all of the intersections that we took out. So now the next road that I think we're going to upgrade is going to be this road that sort of snakes its way through. We're going to have to do a little bit of cleanup in this area to get it to work the way we want it to, but if we just simply delete a couple of these roads, we should be able to fill it back in without too much issue. So we'll grab our 4-lane road like so, and then I believe we'll make this also a one-way going that way. So now we should just have to upgrade this to 4 lanes all the way through the city, and hopefully we will have no more issues with traffic in Santa Clarita. Alright, so now it'll probably be a while before we see any large effects of this, although it looks like this road has started to clear out quite a bit, and the traffic just seems to be flowing through the city now. And we'll just quickly fix things as we come across them, but I think for Santa Clarita that should be pretty much everything solved for at the moment. So checking back in on Mesa, it seems like our traffic coming in and out of our main road of the city is flowing pretty well. However, it seems like this leg of the city has a good amount of traffic waiting, and I'm not too sure what we can do to better fix this without completely changing our strategy yet again. Now, one way that I think could work pretty well is adding a bus lane here, but I'm not too sure how that really, if that would even really help much, as the cars have to take the bus lane anyway to get onto this road. So maybe we just have to scratch that. Another option is to downgrade this to be a 2-lane roundabout, which maybe could work. It might not. So doing it this way by having a 2-lane roundabout and then adding a 3rd bus lane for this quadrant here actually seems to be working out pretty well, and I think once this empties out, this will sort of start to flow a lot quicker, and then this whole thing will be sorted out. So I think that simple switch was able to fix a lot of our traffic issues coming in and out of Mesa. And so moving on from Mesa, checking up on our other cities, Downey's doing pretty well despite having a pretty underdeveloped bus network. San Jose is still struggling a little bit with its main intersection here. I think we definitely want to rework this and it could almost be just as simple as diverting this road over and making this a pretty straight shot. So let's try that real quick. So by simply creating a straight road here, and then we can extend this one. Well, I guess we'll have to delete this. And bring this back around like so. Then we can connect this one back up. And I'm not sure how we'd want to fill out this area. I suppose we could just continue some of these roads across. So if we just drag here and come across, that might be a good spot. We could even just drag a 2-lane road here, since we already have the intersection. And then if we lock this, so we keep this road pretty empty, and then drag this up, I think this will fill out the area quite nicely, and we might see people starting to clear off the roads a little bit easier. And then over here in Winston-Salem, we still have a little bit of traffic here, but it's been pretty consistent for quite a while, so I think we'll definitely need to add this to our to-do list, but it's not an emergency or anything we have to do immediately like everything else that we just did before. And now lastly, looking at our traffic layer on Jackson and Scottsdale, it seems to be doing much better than it was before. This intersection is flowing pretty well. I assume the traffic is simply just because there's people stopped. And then moving across our main road, down here gets a little bit tricky yet again. I'm not sure if that's our buses or some weird traffic routing thing. So maybe we'll have to work on that. And everything seems to be going well over here. However, our buses are getting backed up pretty easily. I think that's due to the short amount of road that they have, and then also the traffic light sequencing here. So I wonder if maybe just removing traffic lights from both ends of these will help with that a little bit more. Specifically on our buses coming this way, as those seem to be the ones that get blocked. But again, that's something we'll have to monitor. We might be able to add a bus lane here so this stop sign doesn't affect our buses quite as much. But other than that, it seems like our capital seems to be flowing pretty nicely now, and all of our buses seem to be working out just fine. And then lastly, we have Santa Clarita, which definitely seems to have not gotten any better, and it could simply just be due to this bus stop. So if we simply replace that and move this over a street, that might actually do so much better with our traffic, as the buses won't be blocking all of the cars from coming up this way. But this is something that we'll have to keep an eye on over the next couple of videos. But anyway, I think that's going to be all that we'll do in this video. Hopefully soon we'll be able to get back to moving cargo goods and resources around the map again, especially since we got our traffic situated in almost all of our cities now. But with that, we'll end it off here. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.